You know what I mean? Superman says this as he looks over at the polar bear and he says, "Are you lonely, boy?" Yeah, me too. Alright, DC Nation, welcome back to another video about Superman. Guys, today we're talking about why Superman is so lonely. It's actually a big part of his character that not a lot of people talk about, and I think it should be really focused on in this video. Now, the first comic we're checking out is Superman Confidential. Now guys, this comic, if you have not read this, bro, you are missing out, because it has Darwin Cook and Tim Sale, a juggernaut creative team. Bro, Tim Sale and Darwin Cook, you know it's gonna be good. But check it out, issue number 3 has a certain scene that really stuck out to me and really fits with the theme for this video about how Superman struggles to fit in, struggles with his duality of Clark Kent and Superman, and yeah, he talks about this to a polar bear. Yep, he doesn't talk about this to another human or another alien. Nah, a polar bear. Really cool animal, one of my favorites. But on page 13 of issue number 3, we have him talking to this polar bear, and he says, "It's like I can't win, like I'm two people, and neither one can be himself. I either have to be the indestructible hero or the shy coworker. It was a lot easier to manage my secret back home in Smallville. Since I moved to Metropolis, things have been happening so fast. People see Superman as an example now, and a perfect one at that. I can't turn my back on that responsibility, and I can't expect a woman to share it with me. As Clark, I have to dial down my personality to avoid drawing attention that might reveal who I really am. How could I be myself with her when it's really just a part I'm playing?" You know what I mean? Superman says this as he looks over at the polar bear and he says, "Are you lonely, boy?" Yeah, me too. It's such a simple image drawn by Tim Sale. Amazing artwork, by the way, but it hits home, man. Like, this polar bear in the Arctic is lonely. It's walking alone. It's chilling alone. Or maybe it's not, like it's an animal. But I feel like animals could be lonely too, right? But Superman is definitely lonely, and yeah, Superman Confidential is kind of like an origin story. It's set in the time when Superman was just starting out in Metropolis, when he was just starting to meet Lois Lane, get to know her, and yeah, he's struggling with maintaining this duality. Yes, he has to be Clark Kent, but he also has to be the Man of Steel, and he has to hold up each version of his life. Like, having two lives at the same time, like the whole duality of any superhero is very interesting, but it's especially more interesting with the Man of Steel. Now, in another comic, in Action Comics number 500, yeah, kind of an old one, we got Supergirl. Well, that's not actually Supergirl, but basically this cover, it says, "Superman, this is your life story." And this comic, it goes from Krypton's destruction to Superman growing up in Smallville, going to Metropolis. So another origin story. The comic basically follows Superman as he goes to a museum that shows his entire life, and he relives all of his traumatic experiences. It really showcases how Superman, he struggled to fit in for so long. He was the last of his kind. Like, he really relates to Martian Manhunter. You know, Martian Manhunter is the last son of Mars, and Superman is the last son of Krypton. I love that little dynamic, or just that bond they share over that. Like, it's a traumatic bond, but still interesting at that. But in this comic, you see a lot of emotion through Superman. And I love the opening. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. We see Superman relive Krypton's explosion, Planet on the Edge of Oblivion. I love that chapter name. But we see Superman relive this, and seeing his emotion here when he watches this, "Mama, Papa, please don't leave me." And they say, "Goodbye, my son. May fortune bless you on your journey, and Godspeed." And then Superman, he says, I can't see them anymore, and I'll never see them again. They're no. And he breaks out. Seeing Superman have this much emotion towards this, which makes sense. He's reliving his most traumatic experience. He's actually never lived this moment in its entirety. He was a baby when Krypton exploded. So yeah, he kind of maybe understood what was happening, but as an adult, he feels it in full effect. And yeah, seeing Superman have this much emotion, and after this, he goes into how, okay, he went to Earth, he crash landed, and he felt like an outsider, an alien. He struggled to fit in. And yeah, he had Pa and Ma Kent, but still, as he grew up, he just didn't feel human. And he tried to do things to fit in, for example, sleeping and eating like any other regular human. And why that is actually so important is, check this out. This clip, why does Superman even sleep? Alright, let's watch this and then I'll elaborate a little more.
Why does Superman even sleep? Under the radiation of a yellow sun, Superman doesn't need to eat, sleep, or do anything special to survive. So why does Superman sleep when he can easily stay awake with no real effort? As Superman was raised by the Kent family, he chooses to sleep in order to feel normal and keep his personal sense of humanity intact. This is the same reason he eats on a regular basis due to social reasons, despite his entire nutritional needs being covered by solar conversion. Superman basically finds it comforting in the same way that any person does, to take the time to eat and relax during the day. Why does Superman even
see? So he doesn't need to eat, he doesn't need to sleep. Like, none of that is actually going to hurt him in the long run. Like, yeah, if he doesn't eat, he'll be fine. Solar energy will keep him alive as long as there is a sun, right? But Superman, he doesn't eat and sleep to survive. No, he does that to feel more human, to fit in, to not feel so lonely. Because if he's able to fit in and be more like humans and not alien, then he could socialize better, he could be around more people, the Bat family, the Superman family. He can have a family of his own, you know, have a wife, Lois Lane, and eventually that lonely part of him goes away. And yeah, I think Superman Confidential really laid that foundation well, showed how he was feeling lonely in that time, and this clip really demonstrated how he goes to great lengths to fit in. Like, dude, and honestly, okay, it might not just be him fitting in. Like, if I was Superman and I didn't need to eat or sleep, I would still sleep. Okay, the sleep part, yeah, that's kinda to fit in. But the eat part, bro, if I see some really good spaghetti, some really good meatloaf, and especially some really good tacos, I'm eating them. Even if I'm Superman. Like, dude, I would eat food all the time. I wonder if he's like Flash, where, okay, you know how Flash has like a big appetite? I think Superman has a big appetite as well. Or no, actually no, never mind. He doesn't need to eat, remember? He doesn't even have an appetite, technically. But I would still eat. Tell me your favorite food down below, alright? What is the food that you cannot live without? Me, tacos, bro. Tacos are amazing. But yeah, Superman, he went from lonely to fitting in. And to see somebody so powerful like Superman struggle with this just shows how big of a problem loneliness is. Or not even a problem, it's just something everybody goes through. And yeah, I think that's very interesting. I love to see just normal problems applied to superheroes. And just Action Comics number 500, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have not read that because it's a very old comic, but I highly recommend it because it goes through the life of Superman and shows it in a really cohesive and interesting way. But yeah, guys, before we wrap up this video, I want to look at a CBR article that says Superman is a bigger loner than Batman. Bro, that's an interesting statement. Now, I read this article and it basically talked about how Superman in like post-crisis after Supergirl died and he didn't really have a family, that he was more of a loner than Batman because Batman had a Bat family, and he kind of argued that Batman is not really a loner because he had Robin ever since issue number 1 of Batman, and he's always had a Bat family. But the thing is about being a loner, okay, Batman can have a lot of people to talk to if he went out of his way to talk to them, but a lot of times Batman is like, I'm good working alone. So that's like a true loner, whereas Superman was kind of forced to be a loner. That's the difference. Batman is not forced to be a loner. Like, he likes to be a loner. He likes to be alone, work alone. But Superman, he doesn't like to be a loner. He actually wants to have a family. He wants people around him. And yeah, at the beginning of his superhero career, he struggled with being lonely, as we saw in Superman Confidential. Heck, he was so lonely, he was talking about it to a polar bear. Like, dude, I would love to talk to a polar bear. I wouldn't, because polar bears are actually very dangerous. They're not like pandas. Pandas are cute, like really nice. Polar bear, no, I've heard some stories, bro. Like, I'm not going near a polar bear. Well, if I'm Superman, yeah, of course. If I'm Superman, I'm talking about my problems to every animal on this earth, because I can't talk to regular people about it because they see me as this like icon, this superhero, but the animals, they don't care. And they're probably not really listening either, but hey, I could vent a little bit. That's what I would do. So Superman, he was in the right, bro. Like, I love this scene. Just this image of Superman talking to a polar bear. So dope. But yeah, DC Nation, that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me down below what you think about the lonely part of Superman. Do you think it's very powerful and a very important part of his character? Would you like to see it kind of mentioned in the upcoming James Gunn Superman movie? I feel like they have to mention it kinda, right? And I do hope that we eventually see Martian Manhunter in the DCU, and I hope we get like a moment where Superman and Martian Manhunter just bond over being the last sons of their dying world. Like, we got a moment like that in the DCAU at the end of like the opening story arc in Justice League the Animated Series, and that was really good. But yeah, guys, more Superman videos coming soon. I got a lot of ideas, and yeah, thanks for watching, and peace out.